Lexington, Kentucky, where the headquarters of ICW and your father founded the promotion. Why did your father pick Lexington and the surrounding territory that he deigned a territory that overlapped no less than 4 other territories, all NWA?
Okay, here's the situation. First of all, the first premise of your question was false.
Oh.
It was not my father's territory.
Ah.
It was 1/3 mine, 1/3 Randy's, and 1/3 my father's. Now, here is the truth unvarnished. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I was in Portland, Oregon, and I told you I was friends with Roddy Piper. He says, Lanny, I've got an idea for you. Can you work heel? I said, yes. And he says, well, I'm going to, with your permission, I'm going to call Mike LaBelle in Los Angeles because I think you would be great against the Guerreros. And those are the Guerrero family.
Yeah.
See? And I was a flyer and they're flyers. They're better than me, but being a villain, that's basically what's supposed to be. And so I was told to call Mike LaBelle, and we talked for an hour. And I told him that I spoke Spanish, which is not 100% true, but I can get heat in an interview in Spanish by insulting the people. You see what I mean? I can get my face slapped in several languages, but that doesn't mean I'm fluent in any of them. So what I did, he told me, he says, Lanny, I'll be very honest with you. Roddy Piper is like a son to me. And if he says you've got what it takes, then by God, we're going to give you every opportunity to get over. And then if a movie comes along, we're going to get you in the movie. He made 3 movies when he was here, and we're going to do the same for you. Because if you're a friend of Roddy's, you're a friend of mine. And I'm going to tell you what, I was very, very excited about it. And then 2 weeks later, I get a call from my father saying that we're going to the ICW, we're moving to Lexington, Kentucky. And I said, oh no, I want to go to Los Angeles. But being the Fredo of the family, you got Sonny, who's my brother, you got Vito, who's my father, and you say, am I Michael? No, I'm Fredo. Okay, so that's the weakest member of the family. Reluctantly, I had to call Mike LaBelle and tell him that I wasn't coming in because I had to do the business of my father and my brother. And he was so nice about it, it made me feel even worse. And then I told Roddy Piper, and he was so nice about it, it made me feel worse. So it's one of the, I don't know, heartbreaks of my life that I had to take this enormous successful break that Roddy Piper gave me and not be able to utilize it. So I look at the ICW as being punished for something I'd never done. And I tried to make the best of it. I was in charge of the picture table and the gimmicks. Now I was reading Rolling Stone magazine. I saw an advertisement, ABC Printing, where they give you 1,000 lithographs, and that's almost like a black and white print. 8.5 by 11 inches or
like
whatever.
Sepia, almost.
Well, yeah, I guess so. It had dots.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was back in 1978. Anyway, for 1,000 pictures, it came to like 6 cents a picture. That means you sell it for $1, it's 94 cents profit. And I was in charge of the picture table and all the gimmicks on there, and we made a fortune. And I dedicated myself to making this picture business profitable and good for the fans. I had a tag team partner, George Weingroff. He came up with an idea that if I wanted to, I could say it was my idea right now, but it was his. And the only thing I did was agree to it. That if you got people that are not selling well, you put them in a grab bag, or people that leave the territory, you put them in a grab bag. And then you also include one picture of somebody that's still there, or maybe a picture of the Macho Man, or maybe one of my pictures, you know, some Ronnie Garvin, Bob Roop, whatever. And for $1, you get a grab bag of maybe 10 pictures that weren't selling anyway. So those are the remainders. And so we made a fortune on the picture table. And I felt pretty good about it. And I started buying new, and I took all the pictures and I wrote all the articles on the program and did a lot of things. And I tried to not think about the big break I lost in Los Angeles and just think about how to help the family and help myself and be successful in business. So do you understand?
Yeah.
It was not a happy time for me, but I made the best of it.
It was an offer you couldn't refuse.
It was my family, and I was the youngest, and I was Fredo Corleone. Go watch The Godfather, you'll see.
I've seen it once. I can't even remember what happens. If you'd actually said Zeppo Marx, I might have actually got that one weirdly. I would have got the Marx Brothers reference more.
Yeah, if I was Zeppo was the least funny of the Marx Brothers.
Well, I'll pick another one then. Groucho, I know the other one.
Groucho, Chico, and Harpo. I'm a big fan of the Marx Brothers.
Good. I'm surprised I even remember Zeppo Marx. I think I've watched one film, and it was Duck Soup years ago.
Right.
So
Night in Casablanca. A lot of great movies.
There's another thing I was hoping to ask you, and it's one thing I don't actually know, is I suppose when you, your brother, your father formed the company, what's the initial, let's say in modern terms, creative direction? Was it always going to be you and Randy as the main event? Were you even going to acknowledge at one point that you were brothers? So what was the sort of the initial storyboard of how you're going to build interest in the company?
Well, I had nothing to do with anything but the picture table. Okay, and I was also we had television promos every Tuesday. It was my idea to have a green screen, and I made color slides so Bob Orton Jr. could have a horse behind him when he talked, and Bob Roop could have an Olympic gold medal behind him when he spoke, and Ronnie Garvin could have something interesting behind him. And I'll tell you what, I had nothing to do with the book. That was being fought over by the creative minds in the ICW, namely Macho Man Randy Savage. And he was great at making a silk purse out of a sow's ear, making chicken soup out of chicken shit. And he was just an unbelievably sharp mind in the business.
Was he ever given any opportunity later in his life to be creative in that role?
He could have been a great booker, but a little bit too much of a good thing, which is where they are now. They don't have bookers, they have writers. And I liked it better when they were just bookers.
What was like a typical loop for you in a week in ICW, and did it change over time?
Okay, what in the ICW?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. When business was great, we were doing 2 shows a night. So Pikeville ran weekly at Marlowe's Country Palace, Pikeville, Kentucky. Then Wednesday, let's say, still in Eastern Kentucky, maybe Combs, Kentucky. I can't remember a lot of these, but Eastern Kentucky was very lucrative for us. And then there would be in Tennessee, Johnson City, Tennessee. And then we'd be, Southern Illinois was very big. WSIL, Channel 3, Paducah, Kentucky, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and every spot show between that and there. And we were doing excellent business. And of course, the problem with running an outlaw promotion is because we are stuck with the talent we have. We don't get as much people in and people out, as the other territories, the NWA, people come in for 3 weeks and leave, and it's always fresh entertainment. But Randy was able to keep it current and keep it fresh and make it, because it's a handicap to be an outlaw group. You don't get that NWA stars coming in and out.
But
we don't get Andre the Giant, that's for sure.
you did get quite a few fairly recognized names. So you mentioned Bob Roop earlier, which I recognized the name from Florida. I believe was he a mainstay in Florida, but there was also Ronnie Garvin, One Man Gang before he was One Man Gang. You had quite a Cowboy Bob Orton. You did have quite a few stars at some point. How did you manage to, and I know you weren't maybe in the administrative side so much, but how did you manage to lure so many recognizable names to an outlaw promotion?
Because at that time, Ronnie Garvin, Bob Roop, and Bob Orton Jr. were going opposition to the Fullers in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So when we were trading talent between ourselves. So when they stopped running, we swallowed them up and employed them. And let me tell you what, Bob Roop, Bob Orton Jr., Ronnie Garvin, that's some excellent talent right there. And they brought a lot of fresh life into the ICW. And then nothing lasts forever. And then finally they all left and did very well on their own, just being swallowed up by the wrestling business. But nobody did better leaving than the Macho Man Randy Savage.
I have to ask.
Who did he bring with him?
Yours truly.
Yours truly.
There you go.
And that's why I don't like to complain about, oh, you made me go to the ICW. Well, that's how I felt at the time. But he certainly made it up to me now. And, looking back, there was a hell of a lot more good than bad that came from being a Poffo or the son of Angelo or the brother of the Macho Man.
There's a character that a name that keeps coming up throughout the decades, and people have very opposing viewpoints of this person. It's either a great trainer if foul-mouthed, or a bit of a scumbag and a thief. And he's called Rip Rogers. I was wondering if you remember the guy, any opinions of him?
Well, a lot of people talk about Rip Rogers. Let me just say this about him. When my brother died, he made a phone call to me. That made me a fan of Rip Rogers, because I didn't get a phone call from Vince McMahon. I didn't get a phone call from Pat Patterson. I did get a phone call from Rip Rogers. I got one from Ted DiBiase. I got one from Bret the Hitman Hart. And I got a phone call and several emails and texts from many, many others. But among them was Hustler Rip Rogers, and I'll be damned if I'm going to go on your show and say something bad about a man who called me when my brother died.
ICW, why did it fall? Was it simply monetary reasons, economics?
No, it didn't fold because of monetary reasons. It folded because Vince McMahon saw a videotape of the Macho Man and made him an offer. And then as soon as he spoke to George Scott, who was the booker, he said, "Got any room for my little brother?" And he says, "Not on top." He said, "Not on top. You still want to come in?" He said, "How about in the middle?" And, so, okay, I'm in the middle. He says, "Is he a heel or a baby face?" And I said, "I'm a baby face. Because if I'm not going in on top, I would rather be a baby face. That way I can get the David Goliath thing going on." Fortunately, when I first came in, they put me against Terry Funk, who made me look fantastic before beating me. And right in Madison Square Garden. Still one of the best matches I've ever had. And I got to wrestle Bob Orton Jr. Hey, take your hat off when you say that name. He's one of the greatest wrestlers ever. I'm telling you. And people said, wow, what a great match you had with Bob Orton Jr. And I said, yeah, it was all him, not me. Okay, and and then after George Scott lost his booking job, they replaced him, and then I spiraled downward. And then they made me the Genius, and I got to wrestle Hulk Hogan. And I was on main events for 4 months. That's a lot of main events.
It's a lot of money. Was this all over the country on the on televised shows as well?
All over the country. Yes, I was all over the world, actually. My stock went up. Not everybody was happy for me, but that's the way it is. It's a jealous business. I would rather have your envy than your pity.
Do you remember a man called Paul Christie? And I believe...
Do I ever? I tell you what, 3 weeks ago, I just spoke to him on the Facebook Messenger video. And he's 82 years old, and he's married to Bunny Love. And unfortunately, he's spiraling downward health-wise. And he is very lucky that his wife, Bunny, is taking care of him. In that respect, he's very lucky. But you know what happens to your body as the years pile up. You know, that's just the way it is. I know he went to WWF briefly after ICW closed, but then I believe he went back to Lexington and then started his own ICW. Do you have any memory of that, or not so much because you were gone by then? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. He just probably working for somebody else. I don't see him as investing money in a promotion. I don't know if he did or didn't.
Fair enough.
But my brother was able to get Paul Christie in the WWF, WWE, and then he finally had to leave because his mother had Alzheimer's and he was needed at home.
Really?
But Paul Christie is a friend of the family, and I certainly do love Paul Christie for all he has done, especially for me.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Enough is enough!
Booty poo Kenya!
I had him writhing in pain with my sharpshooter.
Rocky!
I am not a nugget!
Stick him straight up your candy ass!
I kicked your leg out of your leg.
The Rock has come back!